strong with the high temperature of 58 and a low of 33. This is Mason Self for the news, 103.9, Live Wire Weather Center. Count on it.
In Irwin, we have scattered showers and it's 35. In Greenville, it's cloudy and 39. In Johnson City, it's cloudy and 39.
In a world of salt and ketchup, Taco Bell shakes up the game, only to expose a web of fries.
Fries seasoned in Mexican spices, dipped in warm nacho cheese sauce. They don't want these coming out.
Who's they?
The burger people. They.
Starring nacho fries in a performance that has critics raving. It'll change the way you look at fries, exclaims The Hollywood Reporter. $1 nacho fries, now serving at a Taco Bell near you. At participating locations for a limited time, prices may vary, tax extra.
All right, welcome back to Tri-City Sports. Now, Chris Lowe will be joining us, but something came up with him the last minute. He's going to join me at 1:45. So our last half hour of this program, we're going to be guest-centric. We're going to have John Bonenkamp, who voted for ETSU for the top 25 at 1:30. And then at 1:45, we'll talk to Chris Lowe, who's been hanging around the Bucks as well. I really pride myself in the ETSU coverage we give. And, I mean, I'll just put it this way. We have Steve Forbes on 1 p.m. every Monday. I probably do other spots as well. You know, when you listen and you can watch the interview on our 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities Facebook page, it is on the video section, just like our Facebook page. And then, you know, if you can't see Tri-City Sports now, you can see the guests. You know, maybe you say, geez, Marky, I'm in my car. I'm working at 1:45. I can't listen to Chris Lowe. That's fine. Just watch us on Facebook at your leisure. We're recording it. And you'll enjoy the interview and his insights. And, hey, why are you covering ETSU, Chris, Mr. UT guy, that sort of thing. Okay. So that's what you do. Just like us, 1420 NBC Sports Radio, Tri-Cities on Facebook. And go to the video section. You can watch the show as it's archived. So Chris Lowe will be there at 1:45. Like I say, he just had something the last second come up, and he said, can we do? And I said, 1:45. I've got a spot there. Let's do that. All right, 17 Super Bowl records set when the Eagles win their first NFL title in 58 years. However, ratings were not one of them. Now, let me tell you, there are two sides of this story. There are two big sides to this story. This is the least watched Super Bowl since 2009. More problems at the NFL, right? Nobody's watching. I see the boycott the NFL sticker on the SUV driving in as they drive off to Stony Creek or wherever they're going to. Why, this year's ratings mark a 7.1% drop from last year's 111 million viewers. That means 2/3 of the country is not watching the Super Bowl. Something is wrong. There were only 103 million viewers, down from 111. 8 million people did not watch the Super Bowl that watched it last year. Now, the average audience for an NFL game this season was 15 million viewers, and that was a decline of 10% since 2016. Here's what they're not telling you. This was one of the most watched Super Bowls of all time, and frankly, in terms of in this diversified television, and for that matter, internet audience, that matter, radio audience, this was said about 20 years, I remember, the future of television is radio. And it was a point, remember the WB network, the frog? Okay, that's a while back, but yeah, they used to show Charmed. They're bringing back Charmed. There's some things now. So I used to love Charmed. I have always had a crush on Shannon Doherty, especially back in the day. But here's the circumstance. You had a possibility, or you had a circumstance, excuse me here. excuse me, where when the WB, what I said with that about that, they once made a comment, the people that sold WB advertising, the future of television is radio. This meaning this, you're listening right now to 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. We're trying to get you a male demographic, right? So remember that for your sponsorship dollars. That's what sports radio does. Lifetime tries to get you a female demographic. Soft Rock gets you a female demographic. WB knew back in the day when they were showing, the late 90s and early 2000s version of Charlie's Angels, and that would be Charmed for my money. Even when Shannon left and Rose McGowan took, Alessia Milano, Holly Marie Combs, that was just, But what you did is that they were catering to a young adult. It wasn't called a millennial back then. I believe it was called Generation Y, but they were targeting to a younger audience. And WB was the first network back in the day that would sell out all their advertising on Madison Avenue. First day they'd be done. 400 million sold. All the cosmetics companies, they wanted to, they knew that was going to be their target audience. All right, flip side of this. We've got now the Super Bowl. And there is a target audience here. As I said, 1 in every 3 Americans is watching the Super Bowl here. But you will have now less of the target audience than before. It seems. Still, Super Bowl, $100 million viewers. Where else are you going to be able to showcase your wares? So even if the Super Bowl is down 7% from last year, that $5 million for a 30-second spot, you're not going to get the exposure anywhere else, at least to a male demographic. This year's Super Bowl ranks as the 10th most watched program in U.S. television history, behind 8 other Super Bowls and the finale of MASH. NFL games in general, as I said, are incredibly popular, accounting for 33 of the top 50 programs on TV last year. NFL games. 33 of the top 50 programs. So the demise of the NFL, maybe it's a little exaggerated. Or is it? Now, they talk about, now you can watch NFL online, Twitter's broadcasting games, etc., etc. Many of you are watching me right now on Facebook, right? So, But let me just say this. There is some talk about where are this loss? Who's not watching the NFL now? And Wall Street Journal had a poll that was actually picked up by NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday. I don't know how many people saw this. And it boiled down to this. Now, there are 2 reasons I think NFL ratings are down. One, and nobody talks about this, but I think it's huge, is that the league has scorned the markets of San Diego and St. Louis and will soon scorn half of the Bay Area when the Oakland Raiders move to Las Vegas. Look, secondary team, the opponent is outdrawing the Chargers now at a 27,000-seat soccer stadium. It's an embarrassment. The Rams are playing in a facility, and I believe that their games are blacked out because they have to sell 100,000 seats, and they don't sell 100,000 seats unless they've changed the blackout rules, and I'm not aware of that. But the Rams are now playing in a facility that they originally said wasn't good enough for them in 1979. You don't see where maybe, just maybe, on a Sunday afternoon in September, the good people of San Diego and St. Louis are saying, that baseball team, let me watch that baseball team. I think that's why there's some audience that says baseball is gaining audience now. but not as much as they once did. And it's my opinion that one of the reasons why baseball has lost its audience, and we talk about the future of TV is radio in terms of, okay, ESPN is going to get the male demographic, just like 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities is going to get the male demographic. Lifetime is going to get the female demographic, just like soft rock is going to get the female demographic. We get that, okay? I mean, it's now more sectioned than ever before. It's not, when you had 3 channels and a variety show, hoping that there would be something that Ed Sullivan would give you that you'd want to watch. Beatles come on in 1964. Obviously, that was a cultural phenomenon. A lot of people were entertained by Frank Gorshin as well. He was the comedian on that day. That was a tough act to follow. Once did a movie called Mr. Saturday Night about that, Frank Gorshin handled his performance a little bit better than Buddy Young Jr. did. Anyway, what Meet the Press and the Wall Street Journal poll found out was this: the people not watching the games, white males. 22% decline over the last 4 years in NFL viewership under white males. And it's not that much of a surprise. White males are going to be the ones ticked off by Colin Kaepernick, by the anthem protests, by the political shift and reported $89 million given to social justice programs. Where are they going? Baseball? Well, baseball is just, baseball is controlled by a players' union. That's rather political and not necessarily something that the average white male in Sulphur Springs is going to get behind, right? No, they're going to college football. And I think some younger fans, perhaps, to soccer, they're not going to NASCAR. You think about it, NASCAR has kind of gone a little lefty. Hey, trade in that Confederate flag for Old Glory. Has anybody actually taken them up on that? Baseball has gotten to be really pointy-headed. There was that Simpsons episode a while back. Why did Lisa Simpson suddenly get involved in baseball? Because Bill James told her, with analytics and math, now baseball can be as fun as doing your taxes. And there is a huge segment, that old country hardball fan. I've always been said this. I think he went to NASCAR in the 90s, brought down by the Pete Rose scandal, because Rose was the country hardball hero. And that's where some of baseball's decline began. I think that hockey is picking up on. I see polls and they say, what is your favorite sport? And usually pro basketball comes in at around 10%. Hockey comes in at 8%. And I think that, in Nashville, you've had a largely mediocre football team. I realize they won a playoff game this year, but they fired their coach afterwards. There's still a bit of a sour feel around the Titans, and frankly, they weren't dominant. The Predators were in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they have been this year. I've seen a lot of places where they have both football and hockey teams. What, you don't think in St. Louis they're watching hockey now? I've seen it happen in a lot of places. Why is Detroit now hockey town? Why are the Penguins so popular in Pittsburgh, or for that matter, the Flyers, who haven't won a Stanley Cup in 40 years, popular in Philly, even with the Eagles winning? There's always that, there's that branding. I think a lot of them are going to that. Soccer, a little bit, and I do think that part of the reason why with soccer is because it is structured in time and because it's low scoring. And take note here, low scoring means close game. Close game means competitive game and something with drama. 13-7 baseball game, not that exciting. 1-0, hey, something, the game could change at any given pitch. Something to think about. the one thing that was said, I know a lot of people are looking at, concussions and all this. I've often said this. I realize boxing is not the sport that it once was. But we still have boxing. There have been calls for going back more than 50 years to ban boxing. We still have it. It's even worse on, look at Jerry Quarry. It's even worse on its participants than football is, yet we still have it. So the idea of football will be outlawed, or as I heard Brian Gumbel quote Malcolm Gladwell, that he thought in several years it would be socially unacceptable to be an NFL fan. I don't know, is it socially unacceptable to be a boxing fan? I know it's sort of a blue-collar appeal these days, but is it socially unacceptable to be a boxing fan? It's kind of historically acceptable to be a boxing fan, talking about Muhammad Ali or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, is it socially unacceptable? Is it socially unacceptable to be a pro wrestling fan? Used to be a joke. What has 10 teeth and an IQ of 100? The first 10 rows of any pro wrestling crowd. This isn't the Gorgeous George days anymore. That's not, that kind of went away when Vince McMahon got his hands on it, right? And perhaps the wrestling crowd is not made up of people drinking tea with their pinkies extended. But even so, it's not, I think, socially unacceptable to be a wrestling fan. Certainly not socially unacceptable to be an MMA fan. And I just give you that. Anyway, you look at sort of the demise of football, as they say, and I'm not sure that there is that big of a demise. Super Bowl was the 10th most watched TV program in history, but it's down 7%. I do see with the 22%, and it said white males, that's what the Wall Street Journal poll said, not decline in viewership. They're going to college football. The bottom line is this. People who want to say the death of football, it's not necessarily going away from football, watching another sport. Where are they going to go? The NBA is more liberal than the NFL. What I think is going on is that college football, which tends to be non-political, that's where the fans start to go. That's why the Vols draw 100,000 fans, or I guess 85,000 this year. And frankly, the Super Bowl generally doesn't draw that. I was looking at this. I actually was going through, I just saw where the 1955 NFL Championship game drew 85,000 fans. And I was looking at it and I said, it took 7 Super Bowls for there to be a bigger attendance than that game from way back when. And there haven't been that many Super Bowls, only a handful which have had a higher attendance than 85,000. That's fallen out of bed for the Tennessee Volunteers. So, something to look at, but death of football? Look, if the fans are going from pro football to college football, they're not going away from football. Something to remember, especially when the Super Bowl, despite being down 7% in ratings, still the 10th most watched TV program of all time. I guess Hawkeye and Colonel Potter and Klinger, they're still safe. The last episode of MASH is, I think, still the most watched, program of all time. Biggest share, not audience, but share of a TV audience. You know what that was? Super Bowl 10 with 78. That was the last Super Bowl not played in prime time. So think about that. It's going up against old movies, that sort of thing. You had the Super Bowl. Anyway, that was more than 40 years ago. So, all right, Tri-City Sports Now. When we come back, a lot of people asking, why didn't Malcolm Butler play in the Super Bowl? I'll have an insight on that when we return on Tri-City Sports Now.
Incorporated with news